Hello, beautiful people, and welcome back to another episode of The Bloom Podcast, where we discuss everything self-development, wellness, and evolution. I am your host, Delila, and in this season, we are highlighting some of Houston's most impactful women who are out here killing it, all while serving their purpose. Now, help me welcome Krystal. How is your 2023? You're one of the ones bringing in 2023 with us.
2023 is going great. I'm knocking off things off my vision board already.
Yay.
And I'm here, so I'm excited.
Yay.
And it's going good. I can't complain.
Awesome. So tell us a little bit about what's on your vision board, if you don't mind sharing with us.
So, for my vision board, for me, I wanted to build community this year because I went through a moment last year where I felt like I didn't have that. You know, I kind of felt like, well, why are you waiting to have it, create it?
Right.
So that was something I put on there. I wanted to build bonds with like-minded people and share experiences with people, especially when it pertains to yoga and wellness.
Yes.
I wanted to be able to be around people who want to heal.
Yes.
It's something about people who have it in their heart and their mind to heal. The ambience, their spirit, it's just, they're good to be around.
Yes.
Another thing I had was wanting to do more yoga this year. So I'm just getting back into teaching.
Okay.
And so the biggest thing for me was a lot of people ask me, hey, where are you? Or where are you teaching? And I'm like, nowhere yet, So this year I wanted to be able to give them something or somewhere for me to be able to teach more. And I already have like 2 locations that I'll be teaching at from now until May. So
nice.
That's pretty cool. I have some other stuff on there that I haven't complete yet, but those are 2 main things that I'm able to check off.
Beautiful. And you're already taking steps into it, and we're only not even a whole month into the year.
I know. It's crazy, but hey, I've been adamant.
Beautiful. Yes, I love it. So you are a yoga instructor and a self-care advocate. Tell us a little bit about how that journey started and what piqued your interest.
I started off as a recreational therapist. I don't know if you ever heard of that.
Tell us a little bit about that.
So a recreational therapist pretty much has a background in mental health. We as a therapist, we assess our patients, our clients, and we analyze whatever they're dealing with, whatever they're going through, whether it's depression or anxiety or addiction. And we evaluate the situation, how they're speaking about themselves, how they're feeling, because when someone is dealing with a mental illness, sometimes other areas lack. Me as a therapist, I would come in and I would have a group with them to kind of teach them how they can go about continuing after having the mental illness, after having the disorder. And I would pull those things out of them, like if they love to dance, if they love to sing, if they love to just whatever they enjoy. I would be the one that kind of tap in and say, well, hey, you can still enjoy those things, especially when it comes to things like addiction too.
Yes.
Showing them how that they can enjoy some of the same things without using.
Okay.
So recreational therapists, we just kind of recreate. We help them do the things that they love to do. So that's how I met yoga. As a recreational therapist, I was working in a hospital. And one of the requirements were for me to be certified in yoga.
Okay.
And I was like, oh God, I never really had heard about yoga and what it was. I knew it was an exercise, but I was kind of like, okay.
Yeah.
And I went because it was required, and it was like intense. Like the training was so intense. It was a 200-hour training.
Whoa.
Yes. And we literally were with a group of people from pretty much, you could say, sun up to sundown.
Wow.
And it was over like weeks of time. And just going through that and seeing what we had to do and what we had to learn, I was like, I can't do this. I'm not flexible. All the things that people think. I'm not flexible. I'm not in shape. Those things. But it was a really beautiful experience. Long story short, at the end, I felt really great about it. I didn't feel quite confident to teach just yet.
Okay.
But that kind of went out the window, because as soon as I got back to work, they were like, okay, we're scheduled for a class. So it's the best thing that my teacher, shout out to Lex Gillian, he taught us in our certification class. These people don't know that you just finished a certification class.
Right.
You know, you have to have the confidence in yourself to say, okay, well, I know what I learned, and you practice as you go. So even as an instructor, you're still learning. You're forever learning as a yoga instructor. But we're all forever learning in life. So he just said, you continue to practice, but you also teach. You have that confidence, and you just go with it. And that's what I did. And nobody ever knew. They were just like, oh my God, I enjoyed it so much. And I was like, it gave me the confidence I needed to continue. And after a while, I kind of was like, I don't know if I want to, you know, when you work in a hospital, you can't really touch or modify or help them.
Okay, that was,
Yeah, so it was a little more restricted. So I did yoga outside of the hospital and fell in love, and I've been going ever since. So that's how I found yoga.
Yeah. So unexpected for you,
Very
and God just kind of like placed it in your lap, and now it's like something that you like really enjoy. Yeah. So it's probably something you needed without you even knowing.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think in the beginning, I went back and forth with myself on if it was something I even wanted to do. And I had a few hiccups, and eventually I realized, like, this is what I really want to do. I really love doing this. I don't want to not do it.
Beautiful.
And I was like, if I can find a way to, you know, make it a career that I, you know, that I can make money, and also do what I, you know, do for the people and reach the communities, then I'm gonna do it.
Yes. And then with that, you are serving so much of a purpose and bringing women together, because I know you when I was looking at your Instagram, it was a lot of like women events, like there was a lot of women at your events.
Yes, a lot of women.
So just being able to bring other women together, I think that's really beautiful.
It's so beautiful.
Yes.
Oh, it's such an amazing feeling. I find that when we come together, everybody is always so welcoming. I meet the most beautiful people.
Aww.
I really do. I really meet some beautiful people, and they're so genuine.
Yeah. What's been one of your favorite community events that you've either hosted or attended or have aligned with you in this journey?
So far, sun salutations and sangrias. That was something that I did at Bar Boheme. You ever heard of it?
No. Where's that at?
Bar Boheme is, I guess you could say, it's in Midtown.
Okay. Yeah.
I think. Yeah. And I kind of came across them because I seen that they did other events, and outside of, you know, being a restaurant and a bar, because they serve food too. And I was like, oh, this is cool. They had like graffiti walls, and it was just like a vibe. So I was like, okay, well, being that they love having events and, you know, creating a vibe, then I'm gonna see if I can, you know, sit down with them. And
beautiful.
I sat down with them, and they were like, well, yeah, we want to have it every month, or, well,
oh, beautiful.
In the beginning it was every Saturday. So I was like, okay. So it was like, well, let's see a couple Saturdays, and then it was like every month. And so that was really beautiful, because I was able to transition from beginning with a class of 4 people to leaving with a class full of like 30 people.
Beautiful. I love that.
And I was able, my husband at the time, he was doing photography and videography, and he was able to capture those moments for me. And people still talk about the yoga, and because it was more so like we do yoga early morning before the bar opens, and then right after we'd have drinks, we'd eat, we'd socialize, and it was just so organic, authentic. It was just amazing, and I feel like that's so far that's the best I've hosted.
One thing that I do love about Houston is that a lot of the businesses are collaborating with local, that's anything, vendors, instructors, everything, you know? And then I also want to talk about reoccurring events and how important it is. I think from my point of view, from like managing social media accounts and just giving like advice when it comes to business strategies or like content strategies, branding strategies. Let me not say business strategies. I take it back. I'll say more like branding and content strategies. It's so important to show like consistency.
Yes.
And stable dates. So like how you said, once a month, every first Saturday of the month, right? They already know it's happening.
Yeah.
They see it happening over and over. And if they didn't make it to the first one, they know they can make it to the third or fourth one. And the more they see it, the more they're going to see what they're like kind of missing out on. So it piques their interest to be like, I have to go to the next one, rather than you doing something like once and then do it again. Yeah. And then it's like, oh, they only did it once, you know. Always tell that to my clients, to keep your audience anticipated and to have a set date of when you do like whatever it is that you do. If it's going on live every first Monday or having a certain segment it has to be recurring, to have the same audience come back and to pique the interest of the people that have not tapped in, you know.
Right. And then, you know, to also keep in mind too, just because the first time you have your event or whatever it is, don't get discouraged if everybody don't show up to the first one, you know.
Right.
You have to give them time to see, because a lot of times when we have our, you know, when I have had classes before, if you have that first one, people want to get a feel.
Yeah.
You know, so even if it's a couple people, you know, they're going to go tell their friends.
Yeah.
And then it could be just a thing of, you know, timing.
Yes.
The next time, like you said, it'll be better because if they miss the first one, they can catch the second one.
Right.
So just kind of like staying strong-minded, and the real goal behind it is making sure that, you know, your heart is in it for the right reasons, so that you can continue to, as you go, you know, motivate yourself as you go. And
I think in this, consistency is so important too, you know, especially if they see
That's
it
how you
in
see
your
results.
brand. Yeah. But your audience notices that too, like your work ethic and the consistency that you have behind your brand or behind your skill set, or, you know. So take us through the experience of attending one of your yoga classes.
It's very beginner friendly, mainly because I meet different people, and you can be advanced or, you know, seasoned. Maybe you were really good at practicing and being committed to practicing, and you got really good, and then you chilled out for a while, and so you're just getting back into it. So I try to keep it beginner friendly. First, teaching breath. I always teach my students how to breathe first, because that's very important. And I always let them know that that's what's going to get you through your flow. And then I always end with a meditation, and, you know, that's really it. And then we have fun after, like if there's going to be mimosas, or there's going to be drinks, like even I have coming up, I'm doing complimentary drinks. So if you come, we're gonna vibe, we're gonna chill, we're gonna do yoga, and we're gonna drink, and we're gonna talk, you know. It's a vibe.
You have two of my closest friends tell me about a breathing technique class that they went to. And it's the way they described it, I was like, I want to go to a breathing class. They were describing it like it was just so, I don't want to say like life-changing to sound dramatic, but like it was. Yes. They were telling me that they were like having like flashbacks of their childhood traumas. At one point they almost threw up, but not like in a bad way. Like they said it was so healing when they attended this class. And I was like, I love anything that has to do with healing. Like I'm such a healing deep diver into everything, you know. But yes, when you mentioned breathing, it's like, I don't know if that's like God's way of telling me like maybe you do need to attend a yoga class or a meditation class or something. But the fact that you do all three, I'm like, I need to go.
When we're born, we breathe properly. But as we grow, and then we have added stress, and life, you know, builds on us, we start breathing improperly. So then that's what causes some of the anxiety you feel, you know, or anxiousness, you know. But if you learn how to, when you're starting to feel overwhelmed, if you learn how to say, okay, I need to breathe, and you just inhale 1 2 3 4, hold 1 2 3 4, exhale 1 2 3 4, you know, and you repeat.
Beautiful.
You'll find yourself in certain situations where you like, I would have definitely reacted differently.
Mm.
Have you ever heard about hip openers?
No. Oh yes, that they release the stress on the like the
They
traumas.
It's different poses, especially hip openers that will release emotions. And
I'm very emotional. I'm a crybaby.
yeah, you will find yourself crying in class. Also too, depending on your instructor, like I know I've never met her, but there's a instructor that's here in Houston, and I think she calls herself, she's a yoga instructor too, but I think she calls herself an emotional alchemist, I think. Ooh. And so what I find that I think that I've seen, because I've never been to a class, but I definitely want to go, it's the way she speaks, and it triggers certain emotions for you to release.
Beautiful.
And I'm like watching the video, the people in her class, and they're like crying. Like everybody's crying. I'm like, Lord, I need this class. Yeah. I mean, because that's the way you heal. Yes. You release those emotions. People sometimes associate crying with weakness, but it's really something powerful and powerful and dynamic. It's you acknowledging your feelings, and sometimes it's you letting things go, and sometimes it's you embracing. So
there's times where I'm like crying and people are like, are you okay? I'm like, I'm perfectly fine. Like I cry when I'm happy. I cry when I get a confirmation from God. I cry when I'm sad, or like I'm emotional, or like I'm a big crier, but it's not always a bad thing. So like sometimes I have to remind like my family, like I'm fine, I'm just like worshiping, or like, you know, whatever it
Absolutely
is. Yeah. I wanted to ask you another question about your yoga classes. Are they kid friendly?
They are. My classes are kid friendly. If you bring your kids, I'm not gonna say, oh no, they can't come up in here. No, the kids can do yoga too. I actually that's something else that I didn't speak about that's on my vision board. I'm gonna have a mommy and me in May for Mother's Day.
Okay.
I'm really looking forward to that. God had been really adamant about sitting me down to make sure, like, I know in the end of last year I had some collaborations that I was really excited about, and I think I had about 3 or 4 of them lined up, and they didn't go through.
Ooh, okay.
But that's because I feel like God wanted me to sit down and plan what he had been speaking to me about.
Beautiful.
So I sat down. And I literally was very descriptive. I went on Pinterest and I color coordinated. I've already written up a flow of how I wanted to go, you know, with the baby and the mom. And literally, I know what food I want. I know what drinks I want. Like really descriptive. Yeah. And I put it in a book so that I can see it. And literally after I did that and put it in front of me and made it plain, he was opening up a lot of doors. Yeah. So I feel like that's something he wanted me to do. So that's definitely something I'm working on.
Beautiful.
It's gonna be called Mama Stay.
Okay.
And it's gonna be for the mommies and the babies. But yes, the kids are welcome to my classes too.
I'm asking because I'm really close to my family, and I take my mom and the kids everywhere with me. I'm not a mom yet. I will be very soon, I hope, and I pray. A wife and a mother.
Yes.
So it'd be like a mommy and me class, but it'd be like my mom and then me and then the kids.
And soon I want to do stuff more often for mom and babies, because I do want to have my kids more involved in my practice and also in my classes, just so that they can see, you know, so they can get used to it, because now all they get to see is the practice.
Yes.
When you're a mom and especially when you are newly postpartum,
oh my gosh,
you're learning how to regain that strength. But then also, if you don't have any other mommy friends, then it's kind of like nobody relates. So I want to create that space for someone who's a mom, because I experienced that when I became a mom. I only had 2 friends that were moms, and it was kind of like, I know I was going through the motions of just filling out motherhood, filling out what being a mom was now, with single friends, with friends with no kids, and it's just really different. And I don't know, I feel like more people should talk about how different it is and the dynamics of, you know, what that transition is. But I know for sure that I want to build that opportunity for other moms to be able to say, hey, well, I have somebody that I can, you know, I have this opportunity to go spend time with other moms who get me.
Yeah.
So
thank
or
you
the
for
woman who
sharing
give
that,
me.
because like you said, a lot of people aren't talking about that. And I'm not a mom, but I hear so many stories, and I'm very grateful that God has aligned me with women that are mothers and are open with, like, are okay with sharing that. I have a friend that kind of opened up about it. She's like a recent mom. I hope she's okay with me talking about this. I'll make sure she's okay with me before I post it.
Yeah.
But she opened up, and I'm very big on always making sure I set the tone for a safe space with anybody that I have conversations with, and making sure that they're comfortable, and just not always having to share my opinion, and just listen and be understanding. I really try to do that as much as I can.
Yeah.
And she did open up, and I was so grateful for that, because I don't need to be a mom to try to understand or like have to have that experience to be that friend that's there to listen to her. But one thing that I make sure of, because out of my closest friend group, only one of my friends has a daughter that I love so much. I try to be very intentional and genuine in being a part of her life, and just being consistent, and reminding my best friend that I'm intentional with that. And I had to tell my other friends that she needs to surround herself around people that are, even though we're like, the majority of my friend group we're not single, but we're just not mothers yet. That doesn't mean we can't
understand.
Yeah, right. So I was telling her, I was like, you have to surround yourself around people that intentionally want to be involved in you and your son's life, you know, and that want to be a part of that journey.
Absolutely.
You know, and just, you know, I think sometimes they shy away from wanting to attend certain things. My best friend will be at school, and I'll have her daughter, and we'll go to she's going to the gym with me. We're going to dinner together.
See, that's a blessing.
We're doing everything together, you know?
Girl, I'm gonna tell you, I feel like some of it was the pandemic, but like literally, because I feel like a lot of people don't have grace when it comes to these past 2 years. They forget, we get out of a situation, tend to forget, like, we were just in a pandemic. But just a short like visual for me, when I got pregnant, I immediately found out that my husband couldn't come into my appointments. Ooh. He couldn't come into the ultrasounds. And like literally, we had just we got married March the 7th of 2020. That weekend after we got married, lockdown was Monday.
Oh my god.
Yes. And so I actually conceived on my honeymoon.
Beautiful.
The night of my wedding. And so I found that I was pregnant in May, which was the heart of where everybody was kind of scared. It was kind of like, we can't travel, we can't do this. So I already knew that was going to look different for me, but I didn't know how different it was going to look. So my baby shower, my reveal, everything was virtual.
Yeah.
And so I feel like I didn't get to share those moments with my friends. And however, I feel like most of them understood because they did show up. But then kind of it got cloudy as like throughout my pregnancy. I wasn't hearing from certain friends, and then other friends were kind of like still on the go and moving and grooving and thriving, even though they were telling us stay at home, don't be in groups. It was tough. They was telling us like,
especially
don't be in a group.
They was nobody at home.
Yeah, and people was dying. So imagine me being pregnant. And in the climate of the situation, I'm immediately like, okay, I'm gonna do exactly what I have to do so that I can make sure me and the baby safe.
Yeah.
And so I feel like that kind of changed some of my relationships, because those moments are when you're supposed to have your friends that plan your baby shower.
Yeah.
And they step in and they plan your reveal and they make sure everything goes smoothly and things like that. And I didn't get that. And I didn't hold that. I didn't like hold anyone to that. But I think as I went on, after I had Angel, that's my first baby.
Beautiful.
I found out like 5 or like a couple months after, like 5 or 6 months after, I found out I was pregnant again.
Oh,
with
knocking them out.
With
I love it. Yes.
And so then there was another situation where I had everything virtual, but I was able to have her little, it wasn't even a real baby shower, girl. It was like immediate family meetup, and we ate food and we had cake. I feel like along the way, some of my friends felt like excluded but I don't think they realized that it was because I was just trying to protect my family.
Right,
It was more
right.
so for me to keep her in good health, because they was telling me stuff like, okay, if you go and have this baby, at any point you can have this baby, if you go in there and the baby has COVID, then if you have COVID, then I can't even hold my baby.
Wow. Okay.
Yeah, they would immediately, have her go either stay at the hospital or go to her dad, and I would have to still be away, like after just having her.
Yeah.
So a lot of that was crazy, but I think, just that. So that's just the COVID part of it,
right.
but
everything else that comes with that.
Additional that comes with that is like, the whole, everyone says when you start to have kids and get married and things, that sometimes, if you have friends that, they're
aren't
not
aligned in where you're at in life, probably
you could outgrow them,
yeah.
or that things will be different and they might not know how to meet you where you are, and vice versa. And so I feel like a lot of that, and I think what made it worse was the fact that we had COVID, and so I feel like I went through this whole thing mentally, like I felt alone, I felt like I didn't have anybody, I felt like some friends that I would have wanted to be there more, I wasn't able to share that with them because they were still like moving, and I'm like, well, quarantine so I can see you, you know?
Yeah.
Stay at home so we can meet up and I can invite you, But if it's like a continuous out of town thing or always on the go, I didn't always feel comfortable saying, well, come by, because I'm like scared, At that point, no one knew what to think.
Yeah.
But I think that for me, so just sharing that space and knowing that some other mom went through that too.
Yeah.
So I'm like, hey, I want to create where I can make sure that I bond with other moms too, to say you're not alone, because I really felt alone. I really did,
but that's so important for you to set those boundaries. I don't think there's anything wrong with that. And I just feel like if you love your friends, because you don't love everybody, but like if you love your friends,
you're gonna love their babies.
You're gonna love whatever is their extensions.
Yes, whatever.
It's kind of connected to them.
Yeah.
If that being their dogs. I have a friend that's a dog mom, and I love both of her dogs.
Absolutely.
If I took one of her dogs with me the other day, they were doing like the testing fire alarms in our apartments, and her dog gets really scared. So I was like, I'll just take her. I took her to the store with me and stuff like that. Okay, so I wanted to say this. One of the podcasts that inspired me and still I love so much is Know For Sure podcast. So B. Simone does not have children, and her best friend has, I think, 3 sons or 2 sons, and she kind of had to, and I've never told my best friend this, but 2 things that stood out to me from that podcast was, one, that as a mom, being a mom, a lot of the times people forget about you and they focus on your kids. So I literally have to remind myself every time they open the door to address her first, because I'll run straight to her daughter and like leave her, and I'm like, I'm so sorry. Okay, so I have to remind myself, like, hug Bree first, and then you can go to Risa, cause she's gonna get all the attention regardless. So I try to be very intentional with that. And then the second one was Megan teaching B. Simone like that. Even though she's so in love with her best friends, you still have to also love the child. So both of those,
Yeah.
And once I heard those 2 things, I'm like taking notes. I'm like, okay.
Yeah.
And then, just putting it into practice.
So
probably also communication goes very far.
It does.
So you have to kind of sometimes teach the people around you those things.
That's true.
If I would have never heard it on there, I would have been running straight to her daughter every time.
That's true. And, I think also what I admire about you is that you had the mental capacity and the desire.
Oh, that's a good one.
The desire to want to know how you can extend that love for her. I admire that, because I feel like I wish I would have had that in some of my friends. Like some of my friends, don't mind you. A lot of my friends were very supportive, and like I said, it was mainly the moms.
Yeah,
it was mainly the moms, because they knew what I was going through. They knew my emotions. They knew, not to associate what I was feeling with what I was going through, but just to understand me in just the emotions that I was going to go through in general, not just associated, you know, because some people say, oh, you're pregnant, your hormones are going to, you know, they knew not to do that because no mom likes that. No mom likes for you to say, oh, well, her hormones going to be up and down, because that's not true for every mom. And that wasn't true for me. That in my case, you know, I was very level-headed. I was intentional about being level-headed throughout my pregnancy. But I love that. I admired that about you. You had that desire and have that desire to want to know how you can be intentional about showing up for your friends. And I feel like that is a part of it too. Because, you know, as a mom, we can communicate and say, hey, well, you know, I feel left out, because I did that. I was like, hey, you know, I'm the mom that I'm like, I'm pregnant and I know it's COVID, but I want to, you know, I ain't hurt, you know? So what I would try to do is support in other ways. Like if it was to send flowers or to say, you know, I'm here, you know, but I think it's just the dynamics of different thought process and lifestyles. I feel like sometimes too, if like you said, I mean, like I was saying, if you don't reach out, and like you said too, if you don't reach out and you're not intentional, then I think it kind of goes by the wayside, because of course they're thinking one way, you're thinking one way, you know, you're thinking now in mama mode, and you feel isolated and you feel set apart. But then also they, you know, they might feel left out. But it only takes a simple conversation. And I think part for me is I felt as if I'm always the friend that's reaching out and trying to see like, what's wrong? How can we fix this? You know, is everything okay? You know, and I feel like in that moment, I felt like I needed support. And I just wanted that person, those people, to support me and reach out to me. And so I think the dynamics of the whole thing kind of just went as it went. When you become a mom, you no longer you become really selfless. And so much that you have to remember yourself. Because you would think about everybody else, and just like becoming a wife. And I think I wanted grace as well, because I became a wife. I became a mom in like the same year. And then I became another mom in the next year. So a lot of things changed, and the changes of my body and just not knowing for sure if I would be able to, or feel like I would be able to be strong enough to get back into teaching, you know, first practicing, let alone teaching, because I could stand in front of a class and
guide it the whole
time. And not do anything, but I wanted to be able to do both. And so a lot of people don't know, like a lot of my time in my first moments after having my baby, especially my second one, it was just more so prayer and being on the floor doing like the bare minimum, because I felt so weak. And helping myself get back into being able to gain that strength. And that's when I realized, like, I really want this. And so, you know, because I sat down for 2 years.
I want to ask, did you experience postpartum depression or anything like that?
I experienced postpartum anxiety. And hair loss. So twice.
Yes.
So with my first pregnancy, postpartum, I experienced more hair loss. I didn't really feel the anxiety or any depression. But with my second child, I definitely felt very anxious after having her. As an instructor, I teach people how to calm down and breathe, and I said, well, now you need to practice what you're preaching, you know, if you feel anxious. And my husband was such a moving part into that, because sometimes we need someone else to say, hey, you know, breathe, calm down, you know, it's okay. So he was that moving piece for me, but also mentally, and very strong mentally. I was like, okay, girl, get it together. You got it.
I'm so glad your husband was there for that, to support you.
I love him. He's, you know, he can be my headache, but for the most part, he is really the moving piece to me being able to continue to do the things that I'm doing. Very supportive.
Beautiful.
He takes up so much time with our daughters. So when I have a podcast or an interview or a class, he has the girls, and it's just amazing. He's amazing with them. I love that he supports me in my aspirations and the things that I want to do. And I got his back too.
Yes.
So
I love it. I can't wait to say my husband.
Yes, it's coming.
It's coming. Yeah, here. She said it. She's speaking it into
It's coming, yeah.
Thank you. So what's been your favorite part of marriage so far?
Oh, communicating.
Okay.
And I say that because, all the other things are fun, but I had to learn how to communicate.
Okay.
So he was more of a better communicator than me when we met. And I realized from meeting him that I used to say a lot of things like, just kind of like
impulsively.
Yes. Just saying things, not saying that I didn't mean them, but just kind of like random.
Yeah.
And then when it comes to actually communicating, I would more so fixate on how I felt like I should respond. And then I started to learn that you gotta put more work into what actually is at hand. So you don't want to just be going through the motions. If you gotta have a hard conversation, you just have to have a hard conversation. And he helped me realize that hard conversations aren't bad.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
It's literally just us getting past the point of you think differently than I do, and this is not easy and it's uncomfortable and it doesn't feel good, but if we want to continue and we want to have a healthy relationship, then we have to sit down and do that. So I think that's been the best part about marriage. I think another part of marriage that's super fun for me is just building a legacy.
Beautiful.
I mean, it's hard. It's hard. Like most of the things that I feel like I enjoy are hard. It's tough. It's ugly. It's beautiful. All at the same time.
Yeah.
But I think I enjoy it because I'm a person that I am attracted to endurance and perseverance.
Beautiful.
So if I gotta put a little work in and on the back end, it becomes this beautiful thing in the long haul, but it's continuous work. I love it.
Beautiful.
So I think that's why, I'm leaning more towards those things. And it also shows you who you're with.
Right.
And we've both seen different sides and parts of each other, and it's constant and it's not perfect, but it's us. Yes. And we literally choose to continue to love each other every day.
I love that too. I love your full transparency. Like you're not trying to make it seem all cute and perfect.
Yeah, girl, it's hard. I mean, like, especially when it comes to communicating, because you might say something that they don't like, or, you might believe something that they don't really see, but if you can sit down and have a conversation, and you also have to be a person that's willing to be transparent, but also put yourself in someone else's position,
right?
To understand why they might think that way, and then understand also that we've all been raised differently. We all been brought up differently.
Life experiences are different.
Yeah. So if you can come to a middle point where you're like, okay, well, I don't agree with it, but I respect how you feel.
Yeah.
Then it's a lot of things you can move through. And like, I know we have a friend who my husband was telling him, like, yeah, me and Krystal, we argue. And he was like, what? And he was like, yeah.
Yeah.
And I was like, well, he don't think we argue. And my husband was telling me he feels like now most times if a man is happy and they show that they're happy in their relationship, then most people feel like then the woman is easygoing. Girl, I am not easygoing. I'm not easygoing. But it's the work we put in.
Right.
It's being able to yell at each other, and then come back and say, okay, well, that wasn't very smart. We shouldn't have yelled. Maybe we should just talk about it. And then we talk about it and we're like, well, okay, well, we couldn't do this the first time.
Yeah.
And then you start to unpack yourself and say, maybe I'm egotistical, or maybe I'm just stubborn, or and so you just be transparent, and then that's how you met you meeting your person, or you're living or existing and creating with your person.
Yeah.
If you can't be yourself, all the good, the bad, and the ugly.
Yeah. I think in dating now, a lot of people leave before it could even get to that point. It's like it's a minor inconvenience, I'm out. So being able to be surrounded around, or even just hearing you speak about it, it's so empowering to me. I think a lot of people see strength in people being either single or not married or having no kids, which there's some strength to a degree, but I feel like I admire more like wives and mothers, because if there's power in not having that, imagine having all of those titles and carrying all of that,
That's true.
So
I feel like those people put a lot of work in on the back end, being husbands, being wives, being
'cause you have to be so selfless. Being single is so, or like just not having kids or not being married is so easy.
Girl, I mean, I think about where I was when I was single, and I had so much time and opportunity, and then I got married and I had kids, and I'm like, man, I have to share all my time.
Yeah.
My responsibility, not only share with work, but share with my husband and share with my kids.
Yeah.
I feel like you make your marriage what you want it to be.
Right.
It doesn't have to be what all the people on Instagram or Facebook say that it has to be.
Yeah. Please stop letting social media influence your entire life and your entire personality and identity and everything. Please.
Yeah, just do your thing. And I think
do what works for you.
Yeah, I think that's why me and him can have a really good relationship, because we're authentically ourselves and we accept each other.
Beautiful.
For that. Yeah.
I love that you said that you guys wake up every day and choose each other.
Yeah.
That's beautiful.
We do. Yeah. I mean, girl, to be transparent, last night was a show. Who? Like,
to say the least.
I got so angry at him, but like literally I woke up this morning and I was like, girl, you did the most last night, and not that he probably didn't deserve it, but at the end of the day, I try to I want to communicate in a way where we're not talking at each other, but to each other.
Right.
And so, I had to go back and say, hey, I was wrong.
Aww.
I meant what I said.
Don't take that from me.
I meant what I said, but I didn't mean it in how I said it and how it was portrayed, and with the yelling and all the things.
Yeah.
I think what's more effective if you can go back and talk, or if you could just talk in the first place without the screaming and the yelling.
Yeah. I think it's learning how to overcome that, or how to address it, or how to approach it.
Yeah.
And then knowing what person you want to do that with forever.
Yes.
Yeah.
That's absolutely correct. You couldn't have said it no better.
Because it's like learning how to adapt, and I think probably exhausting all of your options too, with it being with therapy or whatever works for you guys,
That's true.
But I'm excited to get married and never get divorced.
I'm so glad I'm so glad you're optimistic about that, because some people just like, I don't know.
Yeah. And I think I've overcome the fairy tale, and I like to be now. And I'm just so thankful to God too that He has, my friend group is so diverse in the sense of like, some are married, some are single, some are dating, some are moms. Like, I think that's just God's way of letting me know that if once I enter a phase in my life, I know I can go to them and talk to them about it. They have experience, somebody that can hear me out when I'm in that season, so I really appreciate that. And I'm excited and being realistic about it. I think I've done so much healing in myself that I know what I want and I know how I want to approach certain things, and I know there's certain things that were instilled into me that I had to break down to build back up, and a lot of things that I didn't get to experience. My parents were separated, so there's a lot of things that I grew up seeing
Yeah.
that I don't want for myself.
Same.
And building my own legacy.
Yeah.
And I'm excited for my boyfriend and I to finally go through all that together.
Let me make sure I get an invite to the wedding.
Yes. my man. You know, I'll scream that all day for him. So I'm just excited for us, you know? But yeah, that's, you know, in this season, last season I was single. In this season I'm in a whole relationship. So.
Okay.
But yeah.
It's looking good this year, girl.
Look, I'm just excited. I feel like there's a proper way that I liked being apologized to, which is, you know, taking accountability, acknowledging, having that self-awareness, you know, hearing me out, and a sincere apology, and then we forgive each other, we move forward, you know. But having that discussion is so important for me. I, of course, have been in a toxic relationship before, or I don't want to say toxic, I want to say unhealthy. And that really like pushed me to want to be like the total opposite of that. This doesn't have to just be like an intimate relationship. This is for all relationships, platonic relationships with my friends, my family, and everything. The tone, how to set a tone for a conversation, how to approach a certain conversation, how to approach a certain person, because everybody's so different, you know? And I'm very intentional with that. So I went through my whole healing journey. I feel like I'm at the point where I know that a marriage doesn't consist of just fairy tales and butterflies and sparkles and stuff. But very realistic.
What you're doing right now, that you're putting in the work. So it's like you're preparing yourself without even knowing that you're preparing yourself, because what you're doing is you're like you say, you're into healing, and that's something that you do, like a self-reflection. So that goes hand in hand with like preparing yourself, I feel, for, you know, for God to bless you.
Thank you. I've been speaking my husband into existence for like a year now. I think it's so important because what I want for my kids. Like, I don't want my kids to have to go through the same stuff that I went through, as much as possible, because everybody's life experience is what it needs to be, you know? So making sure that my partner and I are equipped, you know, God's gonna equip me to be a great wife and a great mother, and just making sure that we set that tone for ourselves and build that foundation so that we can instill that into our children.
Yes, absolutely. It's so important. I created a yoga poster.
It's on my list of questions. It's on here. I was gonna ask, that was my next question. Poster. I seen it. It's so cute. She literally looks just like you.
Thank you.
Okay,
I did
representation. I love it because then when the girls look at it, there's like, my mommy.
When I started selling them, I want to say in like 2018, 2019. I want to lean more towards 2019. And it was to show representation of Black yogis. Because I had never seen any type of representation. I never seen nobody on TV do yoga that looked like me. I never seen any pictures of someone doing yoga that looks like me, you know. So I was like, okay, we need some representation. And I thought it was so cute also to reach the kids at an early age, to get them interested. And so when I first started selling those, they were selling like wildfire. And
I could see them at like Five Below, you know?
Yeah,
they have a poster section.
Or Ross.
Yeah.
Like, so cute. They definitely were doing really well. And then, like I said, I stopped. I want to say I got a little discouraged when COVID, you know, came. And then I started having kids, and I kind of just was trying to find my way. But fast forward, now I'm trying to get back to selling them. I've gonna relaunch a new poster. So I have I'm working on a new design. She won't have a face this time, but I'm not gonna keep her away. I'm thinking about somewhere in the future, not this year, maybe kind of get it worked up this year and maybe introduce it next year. But I want to do kid yoga parties.
Oh, that'd be so nice. I love that.
So the animated Krystal will make an appearance at the parties, you know, to show the kids the poses and things, and it'll help me with teaching them.
That's so sweet. I love that.
But the new poster, I feel, is more it's more subtle. It's more of an illustration design. So it'll reach everybody. And I'm excited. I'm excited.
Well, thank you for sharing all of that.
Oh, no problem.
And one thing I want to point out is the fact that, yes, you went through everything with COVID, but you're still here and you're here today. You didn't stop. Because I can't imagine how many people had like a lot of things going for themselves, and then COVID happened and they gave up and are not tapping back into it. So I commend you for tapping back into it.
Thank you. Because I was thinking like a lot of big establishments. Like I'm a little establishment. I'm a small business. Yeah. But a lot of big businesses didn't come back.
Yeah.
So thank you.
Yes. So inspiring.
Thank you.
Well, I have one more question, and then we're going to go into a next segment.
Okay.
What is one thing that you're leaving in 2022, not bringing into 2023 with you?
I'm leaving unorganization. Am I saying that right?
Yeah.
And I want to be more organized into 2023. A lot of that looks like, for me, what that looks like is just, I have a book that I put all of, I guess you could call it like a portfolio. I put all of my pictures and all the things that ideas that I have. I put them in there. Actually writing things out. Like me and my husband actually, we printed out some weekly schedules and some daily schedules. So we've sat down and wrote out like everything we want to do from when we wake up to when we go to sleep, and appointments and things like that, because that's something I want to be more organized. I feel like you're more effective, and you can meet some of your goals and deadlines better when you're intentional about being organized and being, on task.
And I'm glad it's both of y'all doing it together.
Yes, like that's something I was like, he's been saying it, honestly. Let me put that out there.
Give him his little credit.
He's been
Let
saying
me not say Lil. Give him his credit. Give him his credit.
He's been saying it, and eventually I was like, you know what? He right. So
yeah. Okay. So this next segment is called Leave a Message at the Beep. So the guest before you left you a message. She doesn't know who it's going to go to. And then you'll do the same. So you'll leave an inspiring message for the next girl.
Aww.
And she'll get to see it, and it just keeps going.
Okay.
Yeah. So Alec is going to put it up here on the screen.
Okay.
So let me tell you a little bit about the guest that was here before you. Her name is DJ Roses. She has partnered up with other locals like events and markets and vendors. She's a advocate for the community as well. She is very well educated. So she holds a lot of titles. Like she's really dope. Yeah. So she left you a little inspiring
and
message.
DJ Rose?
DJ Roses.
DJ Roses. That's a beautiful name.
Yeah. She's so dope.
Look, she has a rose tattoo.
She does. And then her earrings, they had roses on them too.
Oh, that's so good. You know, I love when people are true to themselves.
All right, to the baddie that's listening and that's gonna be here, you're appreciated, you're loved, and I hope you kill it in your fucking podcast.
Yes, she's such a vibe. I love her.
She is. I love it. Thank you. Yeah.
It's so fun because I get to see who comes next, and I'm just like, how's she gonna take that? Oh, okay, I think she'll like that. I'm already like getting to see it. But I love the idea of it getting to play out on the screen, and then like it keeps the audience like, oh my god, who's the next person that's gonna get to hear
I like that. That is so cool. I'm like, okay, I'm taking it.
Awesome.
Received.
Yes. Well, I want to say thank you so much for coming on today.
Thank you for the opportunity. I loved it. I enjoyed myself.
Yes. No, thank you. Thank you for reaching out. I was like, girl. I didn't think a lot of people were gonna, because so the first season, it was all the girls that I already had a relationship with. It was probably like 2 girls that I reached out that I didn't know, but I had been like following, so I felt like I knew them, across their Instagram and TikTok. But this season I got 2 girls that actually applied that I didn't already have an existing relationship with, and I was so excited. I was like, yay.
I'll be honest, I seen your podcast and I was listening. Like I told you, I saw Hollywood. I listened to hers, and I love the fact that she prayed when y'all before y'all began. I love people who love God and on fire for God.
Yes.
So when I seen it, I was like, man, that was so moving. And then I think it's Alexa.
Yeah.
I seen hers, and I love your presence. I loved your vibe. I thought that I feel like you put a lot of thought into how you want things to go and look and be, and you're just so genuine. I was like,
thank you.
I wonder will she talk to me?
Yes. That's another thing that I want to make sure I get across is like the way I am on camera is the same way I am off camera, and the same conversations I want to have with you, I want to have with the next woman, and the same advice I'd give you is like, I'm just like that. Like I could be at the grocery store and I'll be like, if you approach me, I'm gonna talk. I'm very approachable.
Me too. I'm like that too.
I was telling that to DJ Roses yesterday. I was like, I think that's a misconception that people have of me, that I'm not approachable. I'm like, if anything, I'm not gonna let you leave because I'm gonna talk your ear off. Like, you know what I mean? Beware. But yeah, so yeah, thank you so much
you're so
for
welcome.
coming on and taking the time out of your day.
Yes.
And I really hope the platform serves its purpose as far as like touching who it needs to touch.
Yes.
And
absolutely,
just people really loving your story because you have a great story to
Thank you.
And you know, the name of the podcast is Bloom.
Yes.
So we're very big on, you know, talking about our self-development journey and just our life journey, and how you've gotten to where you're at today. So thank you for being so authentic and transparent and open about that.
No problem.
And then Bloom, so we're big on giving you your flowers.
Oh, what?
So we got you some flowers.
Oh, y'all are too cute. Oh, girl, they're beautiful. I love flowers.
So those are for you.
Oh,
Literally giving you your flowers.
Yes. It's so cute. They're beautiful. There's some chrysanthemums in here. I love flowers.
Yay. I'm glad you
flowers.
do. I'm glad you do. I was thinking about getting your roses, but I was like, no. Like no.
I love the chrysanthemums. They're nice touch, girl.
Yeah, so thank you. That's my way of saying thank you, and just literally giving your flowers, and just keep going.
Thank you.
You're doing great things. I'm excited to attend one of the events.
Yes, please.
Maybe
come.
not just one, maybe a couple.
Yeah, please, please, and bring everybody.
Yeah, I don't like doing things by myself. That's something
I feel
about
like it
me.
makes them more comfortable.
Yeah, and just exposing them to that because my mom's. I mean, I've never even gone as much as I do in my life. Like, how have I never been to it?
My mom
maybe
too,
God's like aligned me to go to yours first.
Yeah, my mom too. I had to bring her along, and literally now she tells her, "Oh, the girl good. She good." I'm like, Mom, chill.
Telling our friends,
she good. Everybody in the family, oh yeah, she good.
Love it. Well, thank you so much. Let everybody know where they can find you and what's to come, and then any other little message you'd like to leave for them.
So you can find me on Instagram and Facebook as Krystal Light Yoga. That's KRYSTALIGHTYOGA. And I also have some classes coming up. I have every first Saturday at Heights House Houston, and then every third Sunday at Axelrad. So that is now until May. So definitely look at your schedule, look at your calendar, and if you can come out, come on.
Thank you guys for watching. That is the end of this episode, and I hope you all enjoyed it, and I'll catch you at the next one.